Hey everybody, how you doing? I made this vlog to clear up a misunderstanding born of a tweet that was sent out by Jaclyn Schultz of Fox 5 Las Vegas, where she reported hard numbers and a shortfall of $225 million that her source said they didn't expect the A's to want to chew on. Well, my source is actually working on the project. So when I told my source that, they said in so many words that was baseless. The real problem is, and has been, debt coverage ratio. And I saw a more recent tweet where she got that part right, but then she was confused between what an entertainment district was and a tax district, not realizing that the entertainment district can also be a tax district because she hasn't done this before. So hopefully she's more interested in the answer than who delivers the answer. And so here's the answer. If tax increment financing is used, and by any indication it will be, then the basis for the tax that the county would desire to be levied to the A's will be based on the value, the assessed value of the ballpark. That is $1.5 billion. So that sets up, when you use tax increment financing over a 30-year period, assuming a 3% annual rate of growth in assessed value, a total and a tax rate of approximately 3.5%. A total tax increment revenue of roughly $1.3 billion. Now, that's against a lower bond cost. Why lower? Consider that we started off with a $500 million, I used a $550 million estimate for technical reasons I don't want to go into, bond proceeds. Those proceeds are what the organization say that they need, the athletics, to appropriately build their ballpark. Now, if you say, I need less proceeds, that's essentially saying, I need a smaller bond issue. If you need a smaller bond issue, the bond issue is of less cost. What's the difference? Well, the difference is between just north of $900 million for a $500 million proceeds bond issue, assuming a 3.5% annual rate, to a $616 million bond issue, assuming you're just going to use $395 million. It's a big difference. But what does that yield? It means that because the value of the stadium doesn't change, it means you have more money. And so undoubtedly the A's bankers are looking at that situation and saying, ooh, money. We should have some of that. And the A's bankers were saying to the county, hey, you should, wet our beaks a little and share on the risk. But what the A's bankers didn't, past tense, understand is that when you work with a municipality and you ask the municipality to float a bond issue on your behalf as a private organization, then you're asking for them to share the risk in your project because of the very possibility that that bond could go into default and dip into the general fund. The county does not want that. The difference between this year and last year, when the Raider bonds were issued, I apologize, was that the Raider bonds were issued, if you follow this, you remember, with a 1.5 to 1 debt coverage ratio, which is a no-no in municipal finance. But it was done anyway. And so what happened was that because the tax revenue was at 88/100 of 1% rather than 1%, less money was taken in to cover the bond debt service than was needed initially. The good news overall is that the dramatic success of Allegiant Stadium, the revenue they brought in, created a nice waterfall so that the debt service reserve could be replenished with that revenue as opposed to the hotel tax revenue singularly. All right, it's pretty cool. So you have to chalk up Allegiant Stadium as being not just a success, but a phenomenal success. Just phenomenal success. Even though it had those fits and starts. This is a different ball game now. We have a weak economy. We have a desire among many in Las Vegas to develop a sports and entertainment-based industry, or grow it beyond what it already is, dramatically. And we have what could be thought of as kind of almost a Hades or high water approach to the whole thing. They really want to get this done. The athletics bankers and the athletics are not familiar with working with munis, and so they take an entirely different look at this, and they mix it in with a little bit of marketing on their part, where, oh, we're going to bring all of this to you, and oh, this is tremendous, and all of this. They did that in the Oakland parlance. Okay, that was a different animal for reasons born of the fact that the city of Oakland, by the admission of Oakland Merely v. Shaft, didn't understand tax increment financing, whereas I learned to do tax increment financing when I was an intern with the Oakland Redevelopment Agency in 1987 through 88. All right. So this time, what's going on is the county wants that 2-to-1 debt coverage ratio met, period. End of story. That's what it wants. And by all indications, that's what it's going to get. So when you think about these in terms of dynamics, all right, it's important to ask, what is the assessed value of the structure? And even if the structure is owned by the Las Vegas Stadium Authority, it doesn't mean it doesn't have an assessed value. It's called a possessory interest value. And therefore, what the athletics would pay is called a possessory interest tax. All right? Now, the county's saying, gee, we need an extra tax to pay, is to cover a default because apparently and purportedly the A's were asking for more money than they deserved. I would never allow my client or colleagues to touch tax increment financing revenue. And I would only engineer a pass-through for the government. And even then, you have to be careful. The A's can get that money back through sales tax. They could charge special fees. There's parking. There are a number of ways they can get that money. They don't have to do it that way. And that's why I really insist on, we have conversations, building models. So if you don't know how to build a model, don't talk to people. Build the model first. Test your intellect. Make your brain hurt a little. It's fun. Subscribe to Zenny62 and bookmark oaklandnewsnowblog.com. That ends this broadcast.